You took something before bed last night and woke up feeling wrong. Not sick, not tired, just off. Your brain was foggy. Your body felt heavier than it should. You hit the alarm twice, dragged yourself through the morning, and spent half the day in that weird gray zone where you're technically awake but definitely not functioning. That's not just bad sleep. That's your body waving a white flag. And here's the part nobody talks about. 2 minerals that most people are deficient in can flip that switch in as little as 7 days. Not a pharmaceutical, not a stack of 12 supplements. 2, zinc and magnesium, taken at the right time, in the right form, can change the way you sleep, recover, think, and perform. I'm going to walk you through exactly what happens, day by day, when you start taking them before bed. And I'll tell you what most people get wrong that kills the results before they even start. Stay with me. The first 90 seconds of this video might be the most useful thing you watch this week. Let's be honest about something. Most people who are struggling with sleep, low energy, brain fog, and slow recovery, they're not struggling because they're lazy. They're not struggling because they're doing everything wrong. They're struggling because they're depleted, and nobody told them. Here's what's happening in the background. Modern farming has stripped magnesium from the soil. Processed food has almost none. And every time you sweat, stress out, drink coffee, or have a glass of wine, you burn through what little you have. Zinc? Same story. Zinc gets burned during any kind of physical exertion. Your immune system eats it when you're fighting off anything, even a minor stressor. Vegetarians are at higher risk. People who train hard are at higher risk. People who drink alcohol regularly, you guessed it. So, what does deficiency actually feel like? This is where it gets real. Because these two aren't deficiencies that show up on a basic blood panel most doctors run. You won't get a call from your doctor saying, hey, your magnesium is low. The symptoms are just chronic background noise that you've started to accept as normal, trouble falling asleep even when you're exhausted, waking up at 3 a.m. for no reason, muscle cramps or that weird restless leg feeling, brain fog that doesn't lift until noon, anxiety that sits at like a 3 or 4 out of 10 permanently, low testosterone in men. Yeah, zinc is directly tied to that. Slow wound healing, getting sick more than you used to. Sound familiar? This isn't a hypochondriac's checklist. These are textbook documented signs of magnesium and zinc insufficiency. And the fixie at the foundational level starts with these 2 minerals. But here's the catch. Supplementing them the wrong way does almost nothing, and most people are doing it wrong. Before I walk you through the 7-day breakdown, I need to give you the foundation. Because if you run out and grab whatever's cheapest at the drugstore, you might feel nothing, and then wrongly conclude this doesn't work for you. Let's talk magnesium first. There are at least 10 different forms of magnesium on the market. Magnesium oxide is the most common, cheapest, and least useful for sleep and recovery. It's mostly used as a laxative. If that bottle says magnesium 500 milligrams and it's $6, there's a very high probability it's oxide. What you want for sleep and nervous system support is magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate. Glycinate is chelated, bound to the amino acid glycine, which is itself calming. Threonate is the only form shown to cross the blood-brain barrier, so it's particularly good if cognitive function and mood is your primary concern. Dose for most adults, 200 to 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium, taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Now zinc. The most bioavailable forms are zinc picolinate and zinc bisglycinate. Zinc oxide and zinc sulfate, again, cheap, poorly absorbed. Zinc picolinate is the form used in most of the research showing the strongest results. Dose, 15 to 30 milligrams before bed. Men on the higher end. Women, 15 milligrams is often plenty. One important note, if you're taking a ZMA supplement, zinc, magnesium, and B6, check whether the B6 is in the form of pyridoxine or pyridoxal 5-phosphate, which is also called P5P. P5P is the active form. It enhances magnesium absorption significantly. Pyridoxine can actually interfere with B6 metabolism if you take too much long-term and take these on an empty stomach or at least 2 hours after a meal. Calcium competes with both zinc and magnesium for absorption, so don't pair these with a dairy-heavy meal or a calcium supplement. You are now better informed than about 95% of people who are currently supplementing these. Let's talk about what actually happens when you do this right. Night 1, here's what's happening physiologically. Magnesium starts working on your GABA receptors almost immediately. GABA is your brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's the chemical that essentially tells your nervous system to calm down. Most people walking around are running with a chronically underactivated GABAergic system. Stress, caffeine, blue light, doom scrolling, all of it keeps your nervous system in low-grade fight or flight. Magnesium glycinate binds to GABA receptors and potentiates their activity. It also blocks the NMDA receptors, which in simple terms means it reduces neurological noise. The static in your brain quiets down. You might notice it takes less time to fall asleep. That restless, I should be tired, but my brain won't stop feeling softens. Zinc on night one is doing something different. It's not sedating you directly, but zinc plays a role in melatonin synthesis, specifically in the conversion of serotonin to melatonin. If your zinc is depleted, this conversion is inefficient. Topping off zinc begins restoring that pathway. What most people report after night one, falling asleep a bit faster. Maybe some unusually vivid dreams. The vivid dreams are tied to B6 if you're using ZMA, and to magnesium's effect on REM cycles. Some people don't feel much after night one. That's fine. You haven't loaded the tissue yet. By day 2 and 3, you've got 2 doses in, and this is typically where the first real signal shows up, not during sleep, but the morning after. You wake up and something is slightly different. The transition from asleep to awake feels less brutal, less of that why is consciousness happening to me right now feeling. Some people describe it as waking up feeling like sleep actually did something rather than just pausing their tiredness. Here's the mechanism. Magnesium is critical for deep, slow-wave sleep, specifically stage 3 and stage 4 NREM sleep. This is the physically restorative stage. Growth hormone is released here. Tissue repair happens here. Your glymphatic system, the brain's waste clearance system, runs most efficiently here. When magnesium is insufficient, your brain has a harder time hitting and staying in slow-wave sleep. Your sleep architecture is disrupted even if your total sleep hours look fine on a tracker. By days 2 and 3, with magnesium levels beginning to rise, you start spending more time in deep sleep. You're not sleeping longer, you're sleeping better. That's the difference between 7 hours that feel like 5 and 6.5 hours that feel like 8. Zinc is also starting to pull its weight. Zinc is required for the production of testosterone and multiple anabolic hormones, and the majority of testosterone is secreted during sleep, particularly during REM. Even modest zinc repletion can measurably improve nocturnal testosterone levels within 48 to 72 hours in people who were previously insufficient. Men, if you felt like your drive, motivation, or competitive edge has blunted, this is one of the most likely culprits. Day 4 is when people usually start saying, wait, is this actually working? The daytime effects start to show. Brain fog starts lifting. Not completely, but there's a noticeable window, usually mid-morning, where your thinking feels cleaner. Words come faster. You're not reaching for things you said 20 minutes ago. Decision fatigue kicks in a little later in the day. What's causing this? Magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. But for brain function specifically, it regulates neuroplasticity by controlling the activity of NMDA receptors in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is your memory and learning center. Magnesium threonate in particular has been shown in studies to increase synaptic density in the prefrontal cortex. You're not smarter, but you're functioning closer to your actual capacity. Most people have been operating with a cognitive ceiling that's artificially low because they're running depleted. Zinc contributes here too. It's a cofactor for enzymes involved in neurotransmitter metabolism. It regulates dopamine signaling. Low zinc is directly correlated with depressive symptoms and attention deficits. Not because zinc is an antidepressant, but because when it's absent, the machinery that makes dopamine and serotonin work properly gets noisy. Day 4 is also when energy starts feeling more even. Less of those hard crashes in the afternoon. If you've been riding an energy roller coaster, spiking on caffeine, crashing at 2 p.m., dragging through evenings, you'll notice the amplitude of those swings starting to dampen. Days 5 and 6. This is where the physical recovery effects kick in. And this one is especially noticeable for anyone who trains, has a physically demanding job, or who carries chronic muscle tension. Magnesium is absolutely essential for muscle relaxation. Calcium causes muscle contraction. Magnesium causes muscle release. If your ratio is off, if you're high calcium, low magnesium, your muscles never fully release. They stay in a state of partial contraction. That's tension headaches. That's tight shoulders that won't respond to stretching. That's legs that feel heavy even when you haven't done anything. By days 5 and 6, people with muscular tension disorders often notice the ache in their neck is different. The baseline tightness that they thought was just how their body is has softened. Sleep feels physically more comfortable. Restless leg syndrome, a condition heavily correlated with magnesium deficiency, typically shows significant improvement in this window. If you've been someone who can't keep their legs still at night, pay close attention around day 5. For people who exercise, your recovery between sessions starts compressing. Soreness that used to linger 72 hours starts fading in 48, not because you're doing anything differently in your workouts, but because the cellular machinery of recovery, protein synthesis, inflammation regulation, cellular energy production, is now better supported. Zinc's role here: zinc is required for enzymes involved in CO2 transport and acid-base balance in muscle tissue. It's also anti-inflammatory at the enzymatic level. It inhibits certain pro-inflammatory pathways that, when chronically overactive, slow down recovery. Additionally, zinc is critical for insulin-like growth factor signaling, which drives muscle protein synthesis. Translation: your muscles repair faster when zinc is adequate. Day 7. This is where it becomes undeniable. For most people who started this protocol a week ago with genuine deficiency, Day 7 feels different in a way that's hard to pin to any single thing. The best way people describe it: they feel more like themselves, more even, more capable. Sleep quality, as measured by wearables, typically shows improvements in HRV, heart rate variability. By this point, HRV is one of the most reliable objective markers of nervous system recovery and resilience. When HRV goes up, it means your autonomic nervous system has more capacity to regulate stress, exertion, and emotional load. Mood stability improves, not in a pharmaceutical way, not artificially elevated, but the background noise of low-grade anxiety or irritability that was always there, it turns down. Situations that would have triggered disproportionate stress responses now feel more manageable. This is the magnesium-cortisol connection. Magnesium and cortisol have a reciprocal relationship. Cortisol depletes magnesium. Low magnesium elevates cortisol. It's a downward spiral. And when you break it by supplementing, cortisol starts coming back down toward baseline. Your stress system becomes appropriate rather than hair-triggered. For men specifically, testosterone levels, if they were subclinical low, have often measurably moved by day 7. One frequently cited study found that zinc supplementation over 4 weeks increased testosterone levels by 74% in men who were zinc deficient. Now, if you're not deficient, you won't see that kind of jump. But for the significant portion of men who are running low without knowing it, the signal is real. Immune function is quietly improving. You won't feel this directly, but zinc has been running your thymulin synthesis, a hormone secreted by the thymus gland that matures T cells. Your immune system's first responders are now better trained and better equipped. Sleep architecture, if you're tracking it, shows more consistent deep sleep, improved REM duration, and fewer nocturnal awakenings. What used to be 4 sleep cycles might now reliably be 5. And all of this, every mechanism I just described, is happening from 2 supplements taken 30 minutes before bed. Now let me give you the things that derail people, because I'd rather tell you these now than have you come back in 2 weeks saying it didn't work. Mistake 1, too much zinc. Zinc and copper compete for absorption. If you're taking more than 40 milligrams of zinc daily for an extended period without copper supplementation, you can actually induce a copper deficiency. Symptoms: fatigue, anemia, neurological symptoms. Stick to 15 to 30 milligrams. If you're using zinc long-term, consider a supplement with a small amount of copper, or get it from food: beef liver, shellfish, nuts. Mistake 2, magnesium oxide. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Don't use it for sleep. Use glycinate or threonate, period. Mistake 3, taking it with food high in calcium. A big glass of milk right before bed plus your magnesium supplement equals mediocre absorption. The minerals compete for the same intestinal transporters. Take these on an empty stomach or a light stomach. Mistake 4, expecting results without deficiency. If your zinc and magnesium levels are genuinely adequate, this protocol will not turn you into a superhuman. These are restoration tools, not performance enhancers in the conventional sense. The further below optimal you are, the more dramatically you'll feel the shift. Mistake 5, inconsistency. This isn't like melatonin where you feel it every night regardless. The benefits are cumulative. One night off won't tank your progress, but skipping 3 or 4 nights in a row during the first 2 weeks will delay your results significantly. Make it part of the routine. Mistake 6, ignoring the rest of the picture. Zinc and magnesium are foundational. But if you're sleeping on a terrible schedule, drinking a lot, eating almost no protein, and chronically stressed, these supplements are bailing out a flooding boat with a teaspoon. They matter. They're not magic. One genuine concern worth mentioning, if you're on any medications, particularly antibiotics, diuretics, or medications for heart conditions, both zinc and magnesium can have interactions. Talk to your doctor before adding these, especially at meaningful doses. Let me give you the clean summary you can write down or screenshot. Magnesium, 200 to 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate. Take 30 to 60 minutes before bed, empty or light stomach. Zinc, 15 to 30 milligrams zinc picolinate or zinc bisglycinate. Take at the same time as magnesium before bed. Men aim for 25 to 30 milligrams. Women, 15 to 20 milligrams. Optional. B6 in the P5P form, 10 to 15 milligrams of pyridoxal 5-phosphate. Enhances magnesium absorption and supports the conversion of tryptophan to serotonin. Don't exceed 50 milligrams daily. What to expect? Nights 1 through 3, faster sleep onset, possibly vivid dreams. Days 2 through 4, morning energy improves, waking feels less brutal. Days 4 and 5, the mental clarity window opens during the day. Days 5 and 6, muscle tension drops, physical recovery improves. Day 7 onward, mood stabilizes, HRV may improve, energy becomes more consistent. Timeline for full benefit, 4 to 6 weeks for full tissue saturation. The first week shows you it's working. The first month shows you what working actually means. Here's where I want to leave you. Most people who watch a video like this nod along, think, yeah, I should try that, and then forget about it by the time they open their next tab. Don't be that person. This is genuinely one of the lowest risk, lowest cost, highest leverage health changes most people can make. We're talking about 2 minerals, probably $25 to $40 for a month's supply if you buy quality. And the upside is better sleep, better recovery, better mood, and potentially meaningful hormonal improvements, starting in a week. If this video gave you something useful, and I hope it did, here's what I'd ask in return. Hit the like button right now. It takes less than a second, and it tells the algorithm this kind of no-fluff content is worth showing to more people. Subscribe if you're not already. I put out content every week on sleep, recovery, and performance, evidence-based, no hype. And drop a comment. Tell me which symptom I described today you relate to the most. Is it the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the brain fog, the muscle tension, the afternoon crashes? I read every comment, and I want to know what's resonating. I'll see you in the next one.